to WHO, globally, up to 1 billion children aged 2 to 17 years have faced physical, sexual, or emotional violence, and even sometimes neglect from people who are supposed to take care of them. And this research was carried out in 2020. And this same research also shows that it can totally be avoided. Then why do we let it happen? I'm Nanso Igwe, and I welcome you to another episode on Catholic Faith Forum. Don't go anywhere. When we come back from the short break, I'll introduce the guests to you and the topic. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Catholic Faith Forum, and I'm Nanso Igwe. Today we shall be discussing child abuse. And I have here with me a barrister Priscilla Ozioko. You're welcome.
Thank you.
She's a seasoned advocate for the rights of women and children. And she also has an NGO, she runs an NGO called Mena Foundation for Women and Children. They basically fight for the rights of children and women in Nigeria. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
So tell us a little about Mena Foundation.
Okay, Mena Foundation is an NGO formed in Nigeria to protect the rights, interest, and general well-being of women and children. Mena carries through its team. We have a team of professionals that work with us. We have counselors, family counselors. We have medical doctors. We have lawyers and other experts in the field that work with us to see that we speak on behalf of this vulnerable class. You know, children and women, they are being identified as the vulnerable. So we go about creating awareness on their rights. Some of them, they don't even know their rights.
Yes.
We talk to them about their right to be free from violence. Child abuse, as we are hearing it everywhere. It's happening everywhere. In fact, last month, we organized a program at St. Robert's Catholic Church, Yaba there, where we educated them on the danger of child abuse and the role of protectors.
Okay, yes, nice. So you have, I mean, from what you've said now, you have experience with dealing with children and women. So I want you to tell me your own words. What does abuse mean to you, especially child abuse? Okay.
Child abuse, simply put, is any act or omission which harms a child. It could be emotionally, that's when you talk about psychologically.
Yes.
Physically, sexually, and otherwise. It includes neglect and mistreatment.
Okay, in this part of our world, we know that a lot of parents and even guardians just overlook their children and even don't know when they're actually abusing them. So what are some types of child abuse that you know? I know you mentioned psychological, I mean emotional. So what are other ones that are...
Okay, yes, it depends on the way you want to classify it. We have a domestic abuse. That's when it happens within the home. Generally, the forms, you can say, we have physical abuse, child labor, hawking, whereby you inflict injury on the child, maybe by hitting the child, pouring harmful substances
on the child.
They are all physical abuse. Now you have sexual abuse, which is an area I'm really interested in because it's a monster.
Yes,
it's killing people. It's not, when we talk about sexual abuse, people look at it, any kind of activity you engage with a child is called child abuse. Sexual activity.
Okay, yes. No, you were saying, sorry, continue. No. So I was just, when you were talking now, I know that in this time and age, a lot of people just say, oh, I didn't know that I was doing this to this child, or I didn't know that this was a child. So do you think that people can actually abuse a child unknowingly? Or because I know my intro, I said that it can be avoided. Then why do people then say that they do it unknowingly? So do you think you can abuse a child unknowingly?
Okay, yes. And it depends on the type of abuse.
Okay.
For instance, as a mother, if you are talking about physical abuse, as a mother, you know, there is this problem in our society about discipline and abuse. For instance, your child does something. I have a client who is at Kirikiri. She sent the child to go and buy something, and the child used the money to buy Indomie. The woman, being frustrated because she's the one taking care of the whole family, hit this child, beat this child, locked the child inside, all in the name of
discipline,
yes, and left, only for a neighbor to get the police involved. They started looking for this woman. They took the child to the hospital. Days later, the child died because he poured hot water on the child. The woman is answering murder case in the court. So you can actually do it because I want to discipline my child, I want to correct my child. But if you want to talk about sexual abuse, you cannot say that I engage in sexual activities with a child without knowing about it. And even the law says it's not an excuse. Once you have any activity with a child, somebody below 17 years, you are liable.
Yeah, talking about disciplining, I know that the Bible tells us spare the rod rather and spoil the child. And then people say, oh, in this part of the country, they just want to give you backhand or give you one kind of beating. So what's the difference between disciplining a child and actually abusing the child physically?
Now, what is the purpose of discipline?
To correct the child.
To correct the child and bring about the best in the child.
In the child, yeah. But
we have to be careful. The thin line between discipline and abuse is very small. So we have to be careful. Does it induce fear in the child? First question. Does it harm the child? Second question. What is the purpose? Is it that as a mother, I am annoyed over my child and I want to express my anger?
Okay.
Or is it that I want my child to understand that what he or she has done is not good? So it has to do with the degree.
Okay, so when you talk about degrees, does it mean that, some people say, oh, you want to discipline a child, but I know that there are some children that are very annoying. So in those cases, what should you do as a parent to discipline those children? Do you talk to them and just leave them, or do you actually beat them sometimes?
Well, in this part of our country, in Nigeria, what is obtainable here is not what is obtainable in other countries. You know, there is this social acceptance of some degree of beating, measures you can take to control a child. But what the law, Nigerian law, is saying is, one, corporal punishment. Depends on the punishment you are given. Corporal punishment is prohibited under the law. Beating is not the best, it's prohibited. It's just that these laws, they are not being enforced. You can't even hit a child.
Wow.
Under the Child Rights Act, it's there. You cannot hit a child, you cannot beat, you cannot talk to a child in a way that will affect the emotional well-being of that child. It is there, but we do it. And this is one of the problems why this child abuse cannot easily be eradicated, because the system, the society accepts.
Already permits it.
Yes, yes. So one of the problems is that these people who are supposed to take care of these children, they are even ignorant of how to go about it. I have a child whom I think my child is stubborn. Because that's your child that you are thinking is stubborn, it may be the age.
Okay.
So you need to know the age of the child. We all know that adolescent has its own problems. So when a child is growing up, I'm now growing, and mommy, you shouldn't control me. This person is starting to, okay.
Okay, thank you. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk about signs of child abuse and what to do when you suspect child abuse. Stay with us. Still Catholic Faith Forum, and we're talking about child abuse. So you're talking about, being in the time of the child. When you're puberty, adolescence, and then you're already behaving some ways. Don't you think that some people would think that that's you spoiling the child when you don't hit them or when you don't correct them in ways that, needs you to use your hands or cane or something? To
be harsh on the child.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what they think. It's about what is the proper thing that will bring about self-esteem. The best you want from this child. Instead of hitting, it is better to call the child and talk to the child in a way that will not have negative impact. Maybe advising the child. And if this child, you feel that this child is getting out of hands, that's where we have our team of counselors that you can actually bring them to us. We we have people that manage behaviors because you may not be expert in that field.
That's nice. So let's talk about signs of child abuse. Do you think that children exhibit signs when they're being abused?
They are there.
Okay,
the signs are there if we pay attention. But the problem is that we are so busy. We don't have their time. Signs, if your child starts, if you notice that withdrawal syndromes from your child, a child that is always playing with each other, when you just start noticing the child not being comfortable around others, when the child starts being this kind of fear is being coming.
Afraid, yeah.
Yes. Behavior, the child just change, the behavior change. That's the sign. You have to watch out. And you have to be close to them so that you can find out these signs from them. Signs of depression. A child who is being abused will always be depressed. If it's physical abuse, you start seeing bruises and all that, injury on the body. But if it's emotional or sexual, you may not see those things.
Okay.
Because that secrecy is there. I don't want to open up. And that's keeping the person is always afraid. And it should be showing on the behavior. Okay,
now let's talk about sexual abuse and the signs. Because I know that a lot of parents, when I was in school, I heard of a story of a girl who was molested by her father while the mother traveled. And then how they knew that this child was being molested was she started peeing on herself. I mean, a child of almost 8 years old, 7 years old. She's peeing on herself. She can't tell the teacher. The moment she speaks up to say, oh, I want to use the restroom, she's already peeing. And then they noticed that this was odd for her to start doing this all of a sudden. And when they traced back, they found out, oh, it was the dad doing this. So what other signs are there for people who have been abused as children? I mean, for children, how would you know that, oh, this child is currently going through an abuse sexually?
That's just what I've said. You watch the behavior. It could be the person will just want to withdraw. Just, I don't want to talk when others are talking. If he's in school, the school academic performances start dropping. The person is quiet. That fear, you will suspect that, and you will come close to find out what the problem is.
Okay, now for parents, what measures can they take to make sure that children do not fall prey of this?
When we are talking about the role of protectors, we are not talking about parents only.
Okay.
Even a child can protect another child. The roles we can take, one, you need to equip them. You need to equip them with the knowledge and information about themselves. Tell them the names of the private parts. Most of them don't know it. We use coded words for it. They should know their parts. They should know that my yes is my yes, my no is no. I need permission. You need permission before you can touch me. It is not allowed, and the child should come out to say that. A parent needs sex education, very, very important, and it has to be a continuous thing. It's not just one-time thing. No, you continue to talk to the child about what to do, where to stay, time to leave if you feel uncomfortable. Boundaries. Okay. For children, we use the traffic light. They all know about it.
But I don't know
Red means areas nobody should touch.
Okay.
Like my breast, like my vagina.
Yes.
Nobody should touch that place. No-go area. Okay? And you teach them key notes to use to escape. For instance, if somebody is in my house and is abusing me, you just say, hey, 1, 2. Your mother will rush out because they may not give you opportunity to talk.
Nice. So what about, so what are some effects of abuse on the children? On children, rather.
Okay, I've just said some of them.
Some effects.
Someone, like I've said, it may lead to depression. Some of them will commit suicide.
But children...
I had a friend.
Okay.
I had a friend that just because in school, somebody accused him of touching a child in the same school. The father got to know about it. A manservant for that matter. The father got to know it and was disappointed. Told the child that if I come back from court and this thing I'm hearing is true, I will deal with you. The father left. Before the father came back, he got a call that the child has taken a sniper and died.
The little child?
Yes. Took sniper because he couldn't withstand meeting the father with the harsh tone. That's abuse. The way the father spoke induced fear on the child, and the child died. It could be bruises in the body. It could be mental effect. That self-esteem will no longer be there. Emotionally, they are shattered. They are living, but they are gone. And to worst cases, we see death. We also see, depending on the type, sexual abuses, you can see maybe infection and all that. Yeah. Yes.
And even pregnancy in some children. So do you think that it can be prevented? Because, I mean, the research shows that
I've just told you that it can, but it has to be a collaborative effort of the government, the parents, educating them, teaching them. If I already know the modus operandi of these monsters, the way they operate, definitely I will avoid them. Okay? If I know, I will avoid them. Poverty is another dangerous thing. Because you can't be talking about hawking, child abuse, do not hawk, do not labor, while we are in a system that the whole economy is shattered. As we are on holidays, people are going out to hawk for money, sick money, where they will use to maybe when they are returning to school and all that.
Yeah.
So the parent has to educate them. The society has to, we all have to rise up to defend these children.
Thank you so much. When we come back from the short break, we're going to talk about how important education is in curbing child abuse. Stay with us.
Yes, even currently now I still reflect about my childhood. First, in the aspect of religion, I grew up with the Muslims, and I find myself sometimes going to the mosque to pray. But because of my parents who are more rooted in the Catholic faith, they ensure that, yes, they took me away from that environment and placed me in a Christian school where I'll be influenced with friends who are Christians. And really that helps me a lot. And for that reason, I will say thanks to my parents for their quick response to the situation I find myself. And as a result of that, I find myself now as a Dominican.
Welcome back. This is still Catholic Faith Forum, and we're discussing child abuse. So how important is education? And I'm not just talking about sexual education here for children, so I'm talking about even the protectors, the children themselves, and even guardians and parents. How important do you think education is to help curb child abuse generally?
Education is very, very important. For instance, we are in city. Every child, almost every child or parent, they have heard about sex education and other forms of protecting a child. But when you go to the remote areas, they don't even know about what you are talking about.
No, they don't.
They don't even know about the law. They don't even know that this is my right. They don't even know that I can speak up, I can defend myself, I can go to court, I can do other things. But when you are educated, they will naturally flow. So it is, we are looking at it that if every child is given basic education, if every parent or a caregiver, if we are educated, we know about this right and all that, it will help us to cope with this danger.
So what's the place of Mena Foundation in all of this? I know you talked about going around parishes, and I know
not only parishes, it's not only for Catholics.
The aim, yes, okay. The aim is to reach everybody and tell them that, oh, we need to protect the interests and rights of children and women. So what are you doing? What's the next step for Mena Foundation now?
Okay, like I said, we are embarking on 3 things. This enlightenment program, 3 things. 1, to see preventive measures, which is enlightenment program. Number 2, restoration or rehabilitation. When it has happened, the survivor will be going through a lot. So we look at a way to rehabilitate them, bring them back into the society. And another one, Mena, not only on sexual abuse, Mena is also taking up widowhood issues.
Okay.
How we can help widows, how we can help the less privileged, the children and women through empowerment programs and other things. And we are looking at that with the help of the donors and our professionals. We'll get there one day.
Yes. So lastly, how do you think you can help children who have gone through abuse in one way or the other?
That's what I've said. We can help them by bringing them to our counselors.
Okay.
To talk to them.
So it's just by talking. I know that. What if the person that has done this to them is a member of their family?
Oh, you need to move them out of the environment. You need to move them. We work in collaboration with some state organizations, NGOs, that have outfits where these children can be kept for some time. They also embark on trainings. Maybe they will, if the child wants to further education, find there are donors that will take up education and bring them, yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was a beautiful episode and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you too.
I'm sure my viewer will be so excited and happy that you came on today to actually talk about child abuse. It was a wholesome episode.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm so glad to be here.
You're welcome. So we are not going anywhere until we meet with Collins on Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, as you already know, and today we will be talking about why the Blessed Virgin Mary is referred to as the Mother of the Church. First of all, we know that this stems from one of the teachings of the Church. In our catechism, we've learned about the 4 dogmas of our Blessed Virgin Mary, and one of them is Theotokos, which refers to her as the Mother of God. Now, on today's episode, we'll try to understand, and I'll be giving you 5 points why Mary is referred to as the Mother of the Church. So first, she's referred so obviously because of the fact that she is the mother of Jesus, who is the head of the body, which is the church. So by that fact, she should be referred to as the Mother of the Church. And also we see in Luke 19:27, when Jesus was on the cross, he says to his apostles, to John, John, this is your mother now. He hands over his mother to the apostles. So that is and the apostles were the first leaders of the church. So that is another reason why we refer to her as the Mother of the Church. And thirdly, in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 1, verse 14, we see that Mary is there with the apostles on the Pentecost day, which is the birth of the church. Even after her assumption, we know that Mary still continues to intercede for the church through the rosaries and other prayers dedicated to her. I don't know about you, but I know I have personal experiences from the graces that I have received from praying the rosary and other specific prayers through Mary to God. So definitely, we can still see more reasons why she is the Mother of the Church. And finally, we see in the Catechism of the Catholic Church explains to us that the faithful see in Mary an image and an anticipation of the resurrection that awaits us, and we invoke her as the advocate, helper, benefactress, and mediatrix. In almost all our prayers to the Blessed Mother, we pray through her as a mediatrix, as a helper, as an advocate, to continue to intercede for us and the church. And every day we continue to see these prayers working and manifesting in our lives. So definitely it's a no-brainer. So with all these reasons that I've pointed out to you, first is that she's the mother of Christ, who is the head of the body, which is the church. Secondly is that we see in Luke, where Christ hands over the mother to the apostle. Thirdly, she was there at the beginning of the church. And the fourth, we know that even after her assumption, she continues to intercede for the church. And finally, we know that we continue to pray through her as a helper, an advocate, a mediatrix, I think everything. So there is no reason why we shouldn't refer to her as the Mother of the Church. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. You can feel free to add comments, share more reasons why we refer to her as the Mother of the Church. Please like and subscribe to our channel at Dominican Media Presents. And until I come your way next time, be bold and be Catholic.
Thank you so much, Collins, for that. Thank you for watching. If you want us to keep putting out content to you, don't forget to sponsor this show. Kindly reach out to us on the number below or simply send us an email or at opmediang.com. Also, you can get this episode and other episodes on our YouTube channel at Dominican Media Present. Don't forget to continue the discussion on our Instagram handle at CFF on TV with the hashtag CFF Chatroom. every Tuesday by 7 p.m. And I repeat, we're going to continue the discussion on our Instagram handle at CFF on TV with the hashtag CFF chatroom on Instagram. Till I come your way next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts.